The next regional is in Las Vegas. Phoenix YT is at peace. If you've been a close friend of mine for a while, or I just mentioned it in passing, I love the Pokemon TCG. It is one of my favorite games of all time. So when I heard there was a regional in my home state in Las Vegas, I was very excited, as you could tell. I've always wanted to go to a regional for a while, but since they were in different states, if not different parts of the world, it was always going to be pretty expensive, for me at least. So I wanted to bring my A game, because I don't know if I'll ever get the chance to do something like this again. I looked through my cards, made my perfect 60 card deck, and headed off. Could I, just one Mega Man YouTuber, compete with the very best in the world at this game I love so much? Figuring out what deck I wanted to play for the regional was by far the most important decision I had to make. I mean, that goes for everyone who's going to a regional, but especially for me because this was my first regional. Also, as an added note, the 2026 season for Pokemon Championships made me go from a senior to a master, so I was just thrown into the gulag, which was very unfamiliar territory for me to say the least. So yeah, that would be fun. Especially considering almost 3,000 people were signed up for the Masters Division alone. I play nothing but Charizard EX, so that was absolutely the deck I was gonna play. So the bigger question was, what Charizard deck was I bringing to the regional? But this question was bothering me when the Gdańsk regionals were going on, so ultimately I decided to wait and see what would win before I made my decision. Gholdengo EX ended up winning, which didn't really help my case too much. The two variants I was really stuck on, being Charizard Pidgeot and Dragapult Charizard, are both pretty decent into Gholdengo. Granted, Mega Evolution did give it some options that made the matchup a bit harder, but ultimately it still felt favorable thanks to Chi-Yu, which I'll get into later. It's a pretty good card in Charizard decks generally. It did take me a good minute of deciding and also doing a bunch of playtesting, but ultimately I decided to land on Charizard Pidgeot. While it did have a worse matchup into Dragapult Dusknoir than Dragazard, which I was worried about for sure, I felt a lot more confident with Charizard Pidgeot due to the better Gardevoir matchup, and also just because a lot of cards in Charizard Pidgeot are pretty good. You'll see in a bit. With the deck decided, it was time to get onto the list itself. Here's the list I ended up bringing to the regional. Feel free to look at it if you are more familiar with this game, but if you aren't, I'll get more in depth in a second. Granted, I'm not going to go over every single card. Some of these should be relatively self-explanatory, but I'll make sure to cover the big ones. The most important card of the deck, in the main attacker, is Charizard EX, which I ended up playing 2 of. I was considering 3, but 2 felt consistent enough, especially with the recovery options I'll get into later. Charizard EX is very beefy, having 330 HP, which is pretty good. When you play Charizard EX from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you can search for up to 3 Fire Energy and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. Obviously, it's great for setting up Charizard EX itself, but the extra energy allows me to get another attacker ready while I'm doing that, like another Charizard, or the other alternate attackers I'm playing in the deck. Burning Darkness is also very strong. It does 180 damage at base, but does 30 more for every prize card your opponent takes. Your opponent can take up to 5, so it can do up to 330 damage, one-shotting other Charizard EXs and other beefy Stage 2 attackers, allowing for great comeback potential if I play right. It's also a Dark type, which is very good into Gardevoir EX, which is what a lot of people, including me, consider the best deck in the format. Charizard EX has a lot I generally like. It's very beefy, is self-sufficient with Infernal Rain, and does heavy damage with Burning Darkness. I'm playing 2 different Charmeleon, this 100 HP one and this 90 HP one with the ability Flare Veil. The 100 HP Charmeleon is better into decks that play Munkidori and Ends Darmanitan, while also having a better attack, God forbid I need it, while the 90 HP Charmeleon is better into decks that play Dragapult EX and TM De-Evolution. I'm also playing free Charmander for obvious reasons, but specifically the 70 HP one. I'm playing this one in particular as Dragapult EX makes it the only viable option, really, as Dragapult EX's Phantom Dive would be able to take the 60 HP ones without any support. With the 70 HP ones, they at least need something else, like Munkidori Pains, Hawlucha Pains, or 10 damage already put on them. Pidgeot EX is also really great here, in the glue that holds this deck together. I'm playing 2 of them. It's mostly here for its ability Quick Search, which allows you to search your deck for a card and put it into your hand. However, you can only use 1 Quick Search per turn. It's great for getting anything when I need it. I have a rare candy in hand, just get a Charizard EX. I need boss for game, get a boss. This card is so good in a deck like this, as I can get anything when I need it. Free Retreat also helps, as if anything gets KO'd, I can bring a Pidgeot EX as a pivot option while I get something else ready up in the bench, and then bring that option into the active. Blustery Wind is also nice. Discarding the stadium's always gonna be great, but the damage does leave a lot to be desired. I'm also playing 1 Pidgeotto, mostly for the Free Retreat, but I can also get it off of TM Evolution, which I'll mention later in the trainer section. I'm also playing 2 different Pidgey. The 60 HP one is the main one I do want to use, but the 50 HP one's nice if my start's really that bad, as Call for Family allows me to get 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto the bench. However, this one is vulnerable to Dusclops pains. I'm playing 1 Dusknoir and 1 Dusclops. They're both here for the same reason, which is their ability Cursed Blast. Once during your turn, you may put 5 or 13 damage counters respectively on one of your opponent's Pokemon. If you do, this Pokemon is knocked out. These cards are really good in Charizard EX for 3 main reasons. Number 1, bench sniping. This part is more prominent with the Pulsar variant, but it's still very helpful here, as they both can snipe later threats. Like a 50 HP Pidgey that's going to become a Pidgeot next turn, a Charmeleon that's going to become a Charizard, a Dracloak that's going to be a Dragapult, or anything really that's in that range for the moment. Second is softening up targets. If there's a big threat, like let's say a Mamoswine EX with 340 HP, and I have 6 prize cards remaining, I can use Dusknoir to do 140 damage to it, and finish it off with a Burning Darkness that does 210. Lastly, and probably the most important reason, I believe so anyway, is because it boosts the power of Burning Darkness. Again, when you use this ability, these Pokemon knock themselves out, so that gives your opponent a prize card, and your Charizard 30 more damage. Granted, you do have to be careful while using it, but overall, it's more than worth it if used right. These cards are really good for Charizard EX's strategy, and just for manipulating the prize map in general. So that's why they're here. And I'm playing 2 Duskull just to get them set up. Unlike Charmander or Pidgey, there aren't any attacks worth mentioning, as I'm not playing Psychic Energy in this deck. I'm playing 1 Pheasantipede EX, mostly for its ability Flip the Script. If any of your Pokemon were knocked out during your opponent's last turn, you can draw free cards. It's limited to 1 Flip the Script per turn though. This ability is really good. Getting more cards is always great. Cruel Arrow also exists, I guess, which does 100 damage to anything on the board, but it's not too relevant. It can be used as an alternate attacker if I really need it, but it's mostly here for the ability. I'm playing 1 Chi-Yu. Its first attack is pretty irrelevant in this deck, however it can come up sometimes if it's really bad, but again, irrelevant. So the main attack I'm going to be focusing on is Mega Fire of Envy. It does 50 damage base, but if one of your Pokemon got knocked out during your opponent's last turn, it does 90 more damage for a total of 140. On its own, it's not too impressive, I will admit, but it's mostly here for Teal Mask Ogerpon and Gholdengo EX, which both get one shot if they don't have any other modifiers on them. I'm playing 1 Iron Leaves. Why is this here? Let me cook. Let me cook. Its first attack is irrelevant but helpful if we really need it, but it's mostly here for its second attack, Avenging Edge. It does 100 damage base, and if one of your Pokemon were knocked out during your opponent's last turn, this attack does 60 more damage. It's mostly the same stuff Chi-Yu does, but on a grass type. It's mostly here to help against Grimmsnarl and Cornerstone Ogerpon, as Cornerstone Ogerpon is a massive headache for this deck, and against Grimmsnarl they have to respect it. That's pretty much it, really. It's very niche in here, only being good in 2 matchups, but it's nice when I can use it. I'm playing 1 Shaman entirely for its ability Flower Curtain. It prevents all damage done to any of my bench Pokemon that don't have a rule box on them. So my Pokemon EX are still in trouble, but everything else is more than fine. It's helpful against Terrabox and Zoroark if they play Darmanitan, Screamtail, Greninja, and probably some other cards I'm missing. I'm playing 1 Klefki. Its ability Mischievous Lock says as long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, basic Pokemon in play have no abilities except for Mischievous Lock. This ability's niche, but overall pretty solid. It's good against decks that play Psyduck, so I can still use my Dusknoirs. It's good against Fan Rotom decks, so they don't set up. It's good against Solrock and Lunatone, since they can't draw. It's good against Miraidon EX, so they can't get more Pokemon out. And a bunch of other cards that would take way too long to explain normally. It doesn't do enough damage to justify using it, but it can be useful for taking off tools from my opponent's Pokemon if I need to. Finally, I'm playing one Tatsugiri. Its ability to attract customers says once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, I can look at the top 6 cards on my deck. If I find a supporter card there, I can reveal it and put it into my hand. I then shuffle the other cards back into my deck. It's good for early setup, as I play a lot of supporters that help with that, and it's good for crucial boss or briar plays. I'm gonna go and do a quick lightning round of everything else since the section's already taken long enough as is. Starting with the supporters, I play Free Lily's Determination. Shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 8 cards if you have 6 prizes left. If you have 5 or less, shuffle your hand and draw 6. Regardless of game state, this card's always good, so it's an automatic inclusion here. I play 2 Iono. Both players shuffle their hand into the bottom of their deck and draw as many cards as they have prize cards left. It's really good for hand disruption, especially in the late game. And plus with Pidgeot's quick search, if anything goes into the bottom of the deck that we want, we can just get it back. 2 Arven. This one's a given for a deck like this. Search your deck for an item in a tool card and then shuffle your deck. It's good for getting Buddy Buddy Poffin, Ultra Ball, Rare Candy, pretty much anything I need as long as it's in that category. 2 Boss's Orders. Switch your opponent's active Pokemon with one of their bench Pokemon of your choice. This one's just a given in every single deck in the game. It's really good. 1 Briar. You can only use this card if your opponent has 2 prize cards left. During this turn, if your Terra Pokemon knock out your opponent's active Pokemon, take 1 more prize card. This card's great for comebacks. It can steal wins from your opponents, which is always nice to have. Moving on to item cards. All of these are really important for this deck's overall game plan. 4 Buddy Buddy Poffin. Search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon with 70 HP or less and put them onto your bench, and then shuffle your deck. This card is crucial for this deck's overall game plan, as it gets Charmanders, Duskulls, Pidgeys, Klefkis, and Tatsugiris, all of which are pretty important Pokemon. Free Ultra Ball. Discard 2 cards from your hand and search for any Pokemon you want and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. It's good for general searching, that's about it really. Free Rare Candy. It allows any of your basic Pokemon to evolve into a stage 2 instantly as long as it wasn't on their first turn of being played or the first turn of play in general. If they're eligible for it, of course. It just gets this deck set up a lot quicker, so that's why it's here. 2 Counter Catcher. If you're behind on prize cards, switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon into the active spot. It's just Boss's Orders on an item card, but with a condition to make it more balanced. Charizard decks are usually behind on prizes, so this card's pretty good and pretty reliable. 2 Super Rod. Shuffle up to 3 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy cards from your discard pile into your deck. It's a very good recovery card, especially for Charizard since it's the main attacker, and Dusknoir as it discards itself. Now for tools, I play 2 Technical Machine Evolution. When this card is attached to a Pokemon, it is immediately discarded at the end of the turn, regardless of if the attack is used. The attack evolution costs 1 colorless energy. Choose up to 2 of your benched Pokemon. For each of those Pokemon, search for a card that evolves from that Pokemon and put it onto that Pokemon to evolve it, then shuffle your deck. It's good for getting my evolution Pokemon set up ASAP, and it helps me get around the item lock that Badoo has. As for the A-Spec, which is a special type of card that you can only play one of in your deck, much like Radiant Pokemon from 2022, I play Maximum Belt. Attacks used by the Pokemon this card is attached to do 50 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon EX. This card allows Charizard EX to kill most relevant attackers 2 prizes earlier if not more so, Pidgeot EX gets to do actual damage, and Chi-Yu can kill an unsupported Mega Venusaur EX in 1 hit. Now for the stadiums. I play 1 Town Store. Once during each player's turn, that player may search their deck for a Pokemon tool card, reveal it, and put it into their hand. Then that player shuffles their deck. This stadium is good for fighting my TM Evos and Maximum Belts. That's the only reason why it's here. 1 Artisan. That player may search for a basic Pokemon that doesn't have a rule box on them and put it onto their bench. Then they shuffle their deck. It's good for fighting my basic Pokemon early, mainly the little guys, but especially Chi-Yu, Iron Leaves, and Shaman. It's also here to save my skin if I have a bad start. Finally, Energy. I play 5 Fire Energy, go figure. I play 1 Grass Energy for the attack of Iron Leaves, I play 1 Mist Energy, which counts as a colorless energy for any Pokemon this is attached to, and prevents any effects of attacks done to the Pokemon this card is attached to, like Special Conditions and Dragapult Phantom Dives. I also play 2 Jet Energy. Like Mist Energy, it just provides 1 colorless energy, but if I attach it to any of my benched Pokemon, I can switch them with my active Pokemon. It's good for getting around Retreat Lock, like Maractus and Yveltal, and I mainly use it as my switching option. That's why it's here. And that's it for the deck I brought. But anyway, now that we're done, I want to get to the regional itself. On the day of Friday, which was to make sure that people get signed in and everything's good to go before competition starts on Saturday, I woke up at a very healthy 4 AM. And as I got ready, something that I didn't expect made itself very clear to me. The weather. It was raining like crazy, so yeah, that would be fun to deal with. But regardless, I wanted to be there as early as I could possibly be, so I was just gonna deal with it.